everyone.
Good
Good morning. I'd like to call the July 24th, 2024 Real Property Tax Service meeting to order. First thing on the agenda, approval of the minutes from prior meeting. Motion made by Supervisor Gerasi, seconded by Supervisor Etu. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Privilege of the floor.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Again, I'm up here because I am unable to engage in the discussion today and not wanting to do that board meeting. But the first item on the agenda is to, in my mind, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a flyer that's included with the tax bill. And I know my family, and I'm sure probably many others, at least take a few minutes to read that and understand what's going on. And the intent is on this resolution is to move it to the web and put it on our website. I'm not sure how many people are going to look at that. And I'm just wondering if this is a cost saving measure or whether it's some other kind of mandate that we need to do. But my impression is that it's something that we should keep if it's not too much of a burden for everyone in the county.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point, and I've thought of that. I'll let Alexi handle that. Alexi.
So, this has been going on since, can't remember if it was 2008 timeframe. And, it's kind of ran its course. I get a lot of people that don't even read it. They don't understand why they're even getting it. So, but it would be a huge cost and time savings to stop printing them because they're duplex documents, and that means 90,000 documents that my office is printing prior to printing town and county tax bills. So we produce them in-house, and it's a lot. I've discussed it a little with Supervisor Thomas and Supervisor Garrity to get their consensus on it. Supervisor Thomas was actually the one that brought this to our county from an inter-county meeting, I believe, out in Fulton County, if I'm correct. And no problem. So you know, I'm just saying kind of where it's at now. I mean, it's really been a long time, but I mean, it's not my call. I just thought I would pose it because it originally came up because we were starting with the new software. So I thought that maybe this would be a good time to stop printing it and publicize it instead on the web or on the new software for people. You know, I'm not sure what the hits really are. I guess I should have checked with IT to the actual county website, but it's something I could even put on the real property website as well, since we are the one producing all of those documents. But I know that we do get a huge following and a huge hit because of the data that we have for everybody with our in-house program, with the deeds, all the history of the parcels, tax maps, all that stuff is on our property, real property website. So, you know, it could go there possibly as well as just onto the general county website. But we'll leave it to, I guess, committee to further discuss.
Lexi, if this goes through, will there be something in the initial mailing that says the truth in taxation form can now be found online or not?
It is not anything that we would mail something like that out for, but it would be on the website. But it is not, it's not a mandated document. This document is not mandated by any law. It is just something that was discussed years ago at Intercounty, and some other counties did it, but I'm not really sure how many of them are still doing it at this point.
Supervisor Etu?
I have a few questions. The What is the most paramount data on the piece of paper?
You know what? Of course, I wouldn't grab
It's
one
not
of those.
assessed and taxable value and things like that. That's on your.
It gives you like the mandates, like the state mandates, so it'll tell you like, social services percentage. I think the general part for the county's part. It also lists like our senators, our assemblymen, contact information. But it has a pie chart on there and gives you a breakdown of the percentages and what is mandated by New York State.
The assessed value, taxable value.
No.
Is all, it's gonna stay on the property tax bill that you get,
Yes, because that's where that is. It wouldn't be on this form anyways.
and then it goes out once a year.
It goes out with the town and county tax bill. So it would also be a savings to the towns as well, because they have to fold this and stuff it with their tax bills. So we just produce them all in-house. So my office purchases the paper and we print them all. And we have to break them down per town, what they need. And then when the collectors come and pick up their stuff, they're also picking up copies of these. And then the collectors have to add that to the envelope at their cost for the mailing.
Will the information about what to do if you want to appeal your assessment still be on the paperwork that they're given?
This doesn't have anything to do with
Okay,
that.
all right.
A copy of it, Supervisor.
That would be great. Yeah, thank you. I didn't see it in there.
Yeah, that's right.
It's an,
I gave you-
it's an older one, but it's.
For
the
my
same-
full-time job, I pay real property taxes in 14 states and every state's different. And so it's a lot of
So
brain
that
damage. to
type
go
of
through.
information is for your Board of Assessment review that would be done in May.
Right.
So that is an application that you download from the New York State website, or you can get in our office. Or the towns have those applications, but that has nothing to do with this. This just,
Yes, thank you.
I mean, you're all more than welcome to look at that if you want to share it with the
Yeah,
other.
and my last question is, did you know how much the approximate tax savings would be? Or cost savings?
Cost savings, so it was, if I went for the cost per page is 0.021, which would come to $1,890 just for the printing. And then the cost of the paper, which paper costs just keep going up and up. So I try to always find the cheapest paper to purchase, you know, because we use a color paper so that it stands out with, you know, separate from the tax bill. And I know last year I paid almost $700 for the paper.
Any other comment from the floor? Privilege of the floor still.
We don't.
Okay. Some good points. What's the privilege of the board? We need a motion to move it forward.
Make a motion.
Motion made by Supervisor Etu, seconded by Supervisor Gerasi. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion opposed, motion carried. Opposed, motion carried. And now we'll go to the full board, correct? And then to decide from there.
Mhm.
Very good. Discussion items, parcels left in foreclosure. I think at the 7/19 meeting, there were 26. As of today, there are 23 properties left in foreclosure. My understanding is they'll go to tax sale in October 19th.
Yes,
Would you like to add anything to that, Lexi?
I would love to.
Okay,
So on that 23 parcels that are left in there, 10 of them are residential, 11 are vacant, and one is like a forest piece. It's not a huge forest piece, but when we started for this foreclosure, we had 286 parcels that we started with. 60 of those were defaulted installment agreements. All but 2 of the defaulted installment agreements brought themselves current or paid off. There was lots of phone calls made to people to prompt people to get in and pay. It's just something that I took on quite a few years ago to do something like that, to I guess we don't really want to take people's property, so why not pick up the phone and try to reach out to these people? It is a lot of time and sometimes we find numbers and sometimes we don't. You know, there is lots of there's mailings that go out. I also go out the beginning of June and post these properties, everything that's left in during that week. So yeah, we really accomplished quite a bit this year and, you know, to only have 23 left in, is a great feeling.
Think there'll be less going forward, or it's hard to say? Have you in contact with any that show promise?
I'm not really sure because that's not anything that's in my control. If something was to be able to be removed at this point. Possibly, I think that there may have been, you know, a couple of people that may have said, oh, I didn't know, or have since found out that maybe, they're beyond redemption. So I'm not really sure though. Um,
And just to clarify on that, the redemption date is the date when the owner or the interested party can no longer redeem the property, and that has passed now. So this is the number that we're left with. Number that will be going forward for a judgment of foreclosure and then hopefully an auction in October. But I would be wrong if I didn't acknowledge my thanks to the director of real property, because this is the third year I've gotten to personally witness the time, energy, and effort that's put into bringing a very high number down to really, truly what's a very low number when you think about all of the parcels that get tax bills in Warren County, excluding the city of Glens Falls. We got 23. I mean, that's incredible. And a lot of that goes to the willingness to pick up the phone and make the phone calls more than once to many of the property owners.
Thanks, Lexi.
Thank you.
Good.
Um, So, I know that there has been some discussion about some county-owned properties that the county may have taken in the past, say in a foreclosure or other county-owned properties. If it's something that the county has taken in a prior foreclosure and we still have title to it, it is something that we could just add into our foreclosure, without any type of a board resolution. We could move forward with doing something like that to be able to sell, through our auction company instead of having to go out for an RFP, try to find a realtor, to sell something. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there, so that you guys had an understanding of that, in case it is something that you may want to do. Our auction is October 19th this year. So, you know, time is ticking.
So if there's some consensus from the committee about moving that, my hope is that we can kind of clear up the county ownership of property that we've just kind of been stuck with, for lack of a better term. Some of that might be through the auction, and then some might have to be through retaining an actual realtor to market, to sell other properties. But my hope is we can do that under Lexi's guidance while she is still with us in county service. So that it's a little cleaner going forward. We're not holding stuff we just don't need or want. So we can make some conscious decisions kind of at the staff level of what we need, what we have no interest or desire to hold.
Lexi, you know how many properties approximately there are like that, or assessed value of, I'm just curious.
I don't have a number, but I do have a list. I have provided the list to Administrator Taplin and our county attorney's office. So in doing so, I did go through and review each individual property. I have made notes for each property as to what they are, where they are, what they consist of. if it's something that's really, that I feel would be beneficial to the county or not beneficial. I think we, still would have to have a sit down, probably include our county, DPW superintendent. So he could review them as well. But there's some good stuff on there, and then there's some stuff that we say, wow, how did we get this? So, it definitely, I think, is something that should really be looked at, because there's definitely some stuff on there that we don't need.
It doesn't seem like there's a downside to doing it as opposed to listing it, finding a buyer, going through them. Some of them might have cleanup on the property. I'm not sure, but why not put it through auction? This is my first meeting, but it doesn't seem like a downside to moving forward with that.
Right.
And just so everyone's aware, there's a strong possibility that surplus funds generated from those sales may or may not end up in the county's accounts, as there's a process and a procedure of notifications and a holding period for owners and interested parties to file claims. So it's not as in past years where if you sell it, you keep that money. You'd sell it to get it off the tax rolls, to get it back on the tax rolls, hopefully. And to get what is due to the county is the primary motivation, which would be the taxes, penalties, and interest that have accrued.
Okay. How do we want to proceed with that? I guess.
Again, just looking for a consensus, if there
Yeah.
was any reason for us not to do that. It would be helpful to know, because there's steps that we need to take, it needs to be included. Notifications have to be sent out, posting of the properties, there's a whole, Lexi would be able to tell you in much more detail, but there's a lot that occurs between now and a future auction date.
I don't think we need a motion, do we? Just.
No, just looking for consensus, as
Okay.
long as the committee's aware, informed, and
Good.
not opposed to it.
I
Okay.
think it sounds great as long as the meeting that you suggested, and I think the DPW superintendent would be number one on my list, maybe GIS administrator for an analysis, making sure that the county doesn't want them.
Very good. Okay. Privilege of the floor and public comment. Motion to adjourn. Motion made by Supervisor Drossy, seconded by Supervisor Ito. All in favor?